Hello, and welcome to another episode of Low Tech Health. Let ourselves translate expert knowledge. Today, it's Let's Talk Tickers on Taco Wednesday, and it's a special double episode day. Hey! We're continuing on our discussion of vacation with a discussion of bad health, the certainty of bad health. And tomorrow we're going to talk about our gut guardians and the ways, uncertainly, we can increase our health. No guarantees. Except today. With bad health. So, when things go bad, we're almost certain what continues to happen. So, start off, we have a patient who doesn't eat well, who has what they call atherosclerotic, which is a fancy little magic word for fat inside. And you can usually tell that a person will have atherosclerosis based off of what they look like, which is usually fat outside. Not always obese or overweight, but a sort of skinny fat that shows no actual muscle and mostly atrophy. You can almost certainly tell by the look of this person that they have fat inside. Atherosclerosis, which is a fancy word for the hardening of the arteries. And not only does it harden and become less plastic, because as you understand, we are nothing but tubes in a big old bag of fluid pushing blood to our brain to make sure it picked up oxygen on the way to keep us alive. That's all we are. Just tubes, oxygen, and a little battery at the top making the robot move. So, certainty with bad health, you can almost guarantee when you have fat inside, or when you have fat outside, you have fat inside. And this fat inside becomes many different things, but mostly your garbage disposal start to break down. Your kidneys. So the kidneys become filled with poison. The poison doesn't get out. Now you have an infection of your urinary tract, a UTI. Women can get it from not wiping well. Men have a little bit of a trickier time getting it, but still will happen. Men, trickier time because we actually have two little spouts that spit out of our urethra to swirl down the tract that help keep it cleaner, and it's also longer than women's, and there's no butthole immediately next to it. We have a little bit of a dangle to keep the E. coli out. Anyways, the UTIs continue to progress because you don't drink a whole lot, and things tend to get worse with your toxic garbage disposals when you don't run the water and the sink is off. As this continues, we tell you in the hospital, we can rebuild you. We can make you stronger. So we put little straws inside where your urethra, your ureters coming down from your kidneys to your bladder have been hardened with fat and stickiness. So these inevitably become infected, even worser. And they develop calculi, stones, and they tell you we can shuck it. And eventually, like the man at the circus you're filling with water, it fills to your lungs, and you become short of breath. But remember, you weren't short of breath. You were long of body. There's way too much fat inside to try to bust through obstacle-wise to get oxygen to the right places. Now you're on a breathing machine, and it's forcing breath into you, like a machine, a robot man who's grabbed your mouth from the inside, reached inside of you and grabbed you, and is blowing. Not enough to get you alive and fix you again, but just enough to prevent you from making your last breath. Now these are certainties we know happen with bad health. And when you become ventilator dependent, when everything is broken down, garbage disposal's up, you won't come off a ventilator. And then the question becomes, how far do you want to go? Because, again, we are certain what will happen with this bad health. You will become harder to ventilate because your mucous membranes, which this machine has reached down to keep you breathing, is crusting. We can only keep it so moist. It's meant to stay closed. So eventually that tube must come out, and we must put a hole in your neck. And the question becomes, how do we keep you fed now that you have a crusted sandstorm of a mouth? What do you eat? We have a tube there for your stomach. And yes, we have a tube for every hole, and we can make one and put a new tube in it, even if you don't have a hole there. This is certain. But the question is not, can we? It's should we? Should we take a vacation from this flesh? Should we get things ready? Should we organize it and make sure we're going to make good bug food, good worm food? Or are we going to make the most ugly, hideous mess of flesh we can? I personally would like to be tasty bug worm food. I'd like to taste like garlic and lemon, not lactulose and antibiotics. Please talk about it early, because it's certain we're all going to die someday. So think ahead and plan backwards. I love you guys. Talk to you later on this evening on Wasabi One on What's Hurting My Tummy Wednesday. What do you say we take a look at our gut guardians and where they're heading to on our vacations?